Hi, this is the part of a selfie project we did in class, and this tutorial will show you how you can clip the image and how to change the background using Photoshop. So let's get started. So first, we're gonna use a pen tool to clip the image using the clipping path. As I told you in class, you will need to zoom in and zoom out and moving around. So we can use this toolbox by changing the tool, but there's a keycaps to save some time. So spacebar command zooming in, spacebar command option zooming out, and just a spacebar you can move around. So this is a big time saver. So let me go back. Okay, so I zoomed in a little bit. So as I showed you in class, using this pen tool, this is still one of the best way to clip the image. Always start from the certain point, just click and release, and then just to follow the outline. Okay, we're not gonna do this a super fine clipping. I'm gonna go over quickly. So once you made the arc like this curve, hold down the option and click again to cut the handler so you can be free from the your previous line. Go to the next option, click, drag it, option, click, click. Since this area is a little dark, so let me zoom in a little bit more. This pen tool might be a little tricky to use, but once you get used to it, you will notice that this is the one of the most effective tool. And maybe later on, we're gonna do another type of a clipping path to get really fine details, like fur or hair of the animals. Undo, Command Z. Let me zoom out. I'm not going to have really the details. So let me go over real quicker. Okay. Spacebar so I can move up. Okay. Let me zoom in a little. Okay. Zoom out a little bit. My mouse doesn't work properly for some reason. Okay. So I'm getting close. So when you make this type of a clipping path, make sure you end at where you started. So you're gonna see that kind of a tiny circle next to the pen tool, meaning I'm closing this shape, this clipping path. Okay, so I'm done. And then, so this is just a clipping path. It's not a selection yet. So let me go back to path panel. Before we do that, make sure you unlock your background layer by clicking the lock. So back to on the path panel, click on the drop down menu and choose the make selection. And no feather radius. Okay, so I'm almost done. And then as I told you, we're not going to have this current background, so I need to delete it. But on my current setup, so let me hit the delete key and see what happens. So I'm gone. So the selection is supposed to be opposite. So under the select menu, choose the inverse and hit the delete. So this is done. Okay, so this checkboard check mark thing on behind, that means that's transparent, meaning there's nothing. So let me have the another kind of a background images. So I open the sky images. Let me select all or Command A. Try to keep using the some shortcuts, keycaps. It's a big time saver. So once it's selected, Command A, and copy, Command C, and back to the original My Portrait, and paste it, or Command V. Okay, so this is a pretty large image. So let me, once you paste any images into the current image, then by default setting, it will be placed on top of your layers. So let me move this down to the bottom, so which is okay. But my original image size is pretty big, so my bottom layer, my background layer is active now, and under the edit menu, transform and scale. So this is pretty big image. By holding down the option and shift, let me reduce the size and maybe a different spot, so it looks okay. So once you're happy with that, hit the return. So this is done. Okay, so from now on there are a lot of things we can try. I can keep changing my background image, and also I can change the some color settings or adjustment of my portrait, or I may apply any type of filter. So let me show you a few things, and then you can play around with that. So under the images menu, make sure my portrait layer is active. Let me rename my layer portrait background, or BG. So my portrait layer is active. Under the images menu, adjustment, and then there are a lot of things you can play with. For example, posterize, like the Andy Warhol's silk screen style, or images adjustment, invert, negative, or image adjustment. Let me try a desaturate or black and white, so I can have a black and white image. Insert, the image adjustment again, brightness and contrast level, brighter, maybe more contrast, even brighter. Okay, so this is the one way. Or then maybe on this time, let me change the some settings of my background image by using some filters. Filter, you can always go to any one of this, just play with that. There's the kind of only way to figure it out how it works. Let me choose this filter gallery. So now we're seeing the background image. Brush stroke, so you can play with that, and each brush stroke or each filter has the value by changing this slide bar, and you can see the difference. So I'm happy with that and say okay. So now I have this. Okay. Another thing is on my portrait, so for now it is okay, but it looks like some kind of a cutout. So I cut out my portrait from my photo, and then my the outline of my hair area is it's okay, but it's not that kind of a smooth enough. So we may apply some type of a blur filter, or um, in your layers panel, you're gonna see the FX things. What's gonna do is it will apply some type of um, kind of blending options. So let me try. This is what I showed you in class. Outer glow. Okay, you can see that kind of blue outer glowing. Let me choose a normal settings, and then instead of a blue, what if I have black? I can change the opacitive value, and even I can spread more or less, make it smaller or larger, and maybe something like that. So I'm okay with that. Okay, yep. So and this is it for this. And next video, I will show you how to define certain area or my face as pattern and as a brush set.